they're going to go over some of the equipment on the trucks. And they'll start to explain the ladder truck versus the rescue versus the engine, kind of what they do, the equipment that's carried on it. I'm expecting you guys to ask questions, right, to figure out, hey, what is this, and how does that work, and why does this do this, and all those why questions. I'm ready.
Why does it say rescue 125?
That is the identifier to the vehicle. So there's a couple different things that have to happen when 911 alerts us. We have to acknowledge that, yep, we received a call, and then every piece of equipment in the county, not just Canastota, has a specific identifier to it. So I know if somebody says 125, I know they're talking about Canastota's equipment. 135 would be like Casanova's equipment. When I says 295. But each piece of equipment has a different number to it. 12 is always the same because that's the station number here. When I is 29, Casanova's is 13. It's just the last number identifier tells you what type of equipment. So it's kind of a little weird, a little strange, but you kind of get used to it. Any other questions so far? No? Okay, great. We got 8. So I'm going to take this 4, purple, over. It's going to come with me outside. You 4 are going to stay inside. Parents can do whatever. You can kind of meander about the parking lot, meander in and out. We're going to do about 20 minutes, maybe 30 outside, and and then we're going to switch. So you'll do fire extinguishers with myself and Lieutenant Williams, and then inside, Captain Shank here will kind of show you the equipment. Again, rack his brain, ask him about 4 million questions. That's what he's expecting. Maybe he'll ask you some questions as well. Hey.
If you're a volunteer fire department, how many hours a week do you guys put in here at the firehouse, and how many hours a month do you need to train to be current?
So every Wednesday night there's training. So 52 times a year, thereabouts, there's training, at least for 1 to 3 hours every Wednesday night. When you become a member, depending on what you really want to do, if you'd rather drive, or if you'd rather be an interior fireman, maybe you'd rather be a scene support fireman, depends on the track of classes you will then take through New York State. And those classes range from 60 hours all the way up to 100 plus hours, all the way down to maybe 10 or 15 hours for each class. So it takes you, and you might go to class twice a week and every other Saturday for like 6 months. So there's a lot of initial time that's invested to get involved and to get to be a member. This is just the downstairs portion of the house. Upstairs is all of the business side of the organization. That's where we do all the fundraising. That's when we have all the company meetings. Once a month we have a company meeting. That's when we do all the financials of the department. That's when we decide, hey, are we going to do a fish fry? Are we going to do a boot drive? All the things that kind of make the fire department run kind of happen upstairs. All the calls and all the equipment happen downstairs. Same organization, just 2 different sides of the house that kind of run parallel together. They just do a couple different things, that's all. That's a really good question. But there's a lot of time. I mean, these guys are spending countless numbers of hours here each week. They don't get compensated. There is no pay. They're doing it, that's their community service. Just like you as Boy Scouts are giving back to the community doing service projects, they're like Boy Scouts all the time as well. They're just giving back by going on calls and providing the service to the community, that's all. Just 2 different organizations doing the same thing, just in a different way. So I know a lot of Boy Scouts become firemen, and they continue that community service throughout their entire life, because that's what they like, right? That's why you guys are doing this. They give back to the community, same. You know, I bet you if you ask some of the guys here, were you Boy Scouts? They'll probably say yes. You might even find an Eagle Scout somewhere. I have a few friends in the fire service that are Eagle Scouts. It's a big deal, right, for the fire service especially. So what you're doing is kind of the same, just a little different, that's all.
Sir, there's nobody here who's a paid person, it's all volunteer?
All up 100% volunteer. So there are nobody here receives any pay. And it's still all the functions as a career department or a department that gets paid, all the same functions happen here. The same thing. The one big difference is just the community can't support that type of salary base because it's smaller. The city of Oneida's got 12,500 people there, and their tax base where they generate the money from is bigger. You're in a community of about 4,500 people, and the tax base is lower. So it just can't support to pay all the salaries, but it still needs a fire department. It still has to do what it does. The state is mostly, New York State especially, is mostly comprised of volunteer fire departments. Your bigger cities, Syracuse, Buffalo, Albany, obviously New York City, they're called metro type departments, 300 plus guys that are being paid to do that job. The rest of the state, you get this sprinkle of little small career departments like Oneida, but the majority of the state is all volunteer. The majority of the country, the entire United States, is all volunteer. There's approximately 1.2 million firemen. 800,000 of those firemen are volunteer. 800,000, approximately. So the majority of your fire service is all volunteer. Just what you see right here.
Two more questions. Now,
Yeah.
one, what's the farthest away you can live and be a volunteer fireman in Canastota? And two, what's the minimum age?
So to be a member here, you have to live either within the town of Lenox or within the village of Canastota. So the village is comprised within the town. The minimum age is 18. Unfortunately, we don't have a junior fire program here. We talked about it a few times, it just never came through. Each community is a little different. Some of them have junior programs where you can join at 16. Some of them run even as early as 14 through the Boy Scouts. And they kind of get a mentorship until they get of age. But most of the time, wherever you live, that's the community where you would belong to. So if you lived in Oneida Castle, you could join Oneida Castle. But if you lived in Oneida Castle, you can't join here, and vice versa. If I lived here, I can't join Oneida Castle. It's just a way.
And if you live in Oneida, you can't join Oneida Castle.
Correct. Well, I take that back. Oneida's a little different because it's all these little areas around it. Like you can live in Oneida and join Durham. You can live in Oneida and join Oneida Castle. Because those departments are much smaller and the proximity is really close. The key is when 911 alerts the fire department, being all volunteer and nobody stays here, you want to get to the fire station as quick as you can. And if I live 10 minutes away, you're never going to make a truck. It's already going to be gone. We average here from the time 911 alerts the fire department to the time the trucks are going out the door, 3 minutes. 3. That's it. So if you're living 7 miles away, it's hard to get here in 3 minutes. It's impossible. So we want members to get here as quick as they can and be close. Awesome. Questions? Ready for some exciting stuff? Sure? Yeah. You sure? Yeah, right. All right. You guys are going to stay inside. You guys are going to come with me. We're going to go out back. And break. Okay.
You just went on.
Yes.
Go this way.
Just went on.
You decide you have to leave this out.
I'm going out.
Okay.
First day on the video machine,
Oh,
so
that's perfect.
and it's not snowing yet, so that's
Yeah,
good.
we're in good shape.
Hey, seen all of that trucks out there. What you guys doing? Right you guys. So, yeah, that'd be great. Steven, you want to set this up maybe like right just on the grass?
Okay.
Yep.
Whatever you want, I will
That
follow.
would be great. And yeah, I'll give you the time to light it up.
Can I light the flare?
No, absolutely not. So what we're gonna do out back here is we're gonna do some fire extinguishers. We're gonna talk about fire extinguishers, how to use them, and then we're actually gonna put out a fire using a fire extinguisher. How many have actually done it? school does that though, right? And if the last time you did it was at school, which was 2 years ago now, right? Hopefully you remember how, but imagine if you didn't, you didn't use an extinguisher again for 10 more years, or maybe 20 years, right? If you ask a lot of people if they've ever used fire extinguishers, they're gonna say no, right? They walk by them all the time. They don't even pay attention to them because they're hanging on the wall, but they wouldn't know how to use them. One of the important things though is if there's a fire, whether you're at home, dad's at work, mom's at work, she sees them, that type of thing, is you always need to dial 911, always. Even before you decide you're gonna use the extinguisher, you have to alert the fire department to get them coming. Because if you decide you're gonna use the fire extinguisher and it doesn't put the fire out, right, now what? Give me another extinguisher, right? Everybody goes, I don't know where they are. So that way the fire department's on the way at least. Versus, yeah, I'm gonna go try to put fire out and it doesn't work. Or whatever happens, something screws up, and now the fire is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Remember, fire doubles in size every 30 seconds. It used to be every minute. With the way things are being made with lots of plastics now and fuel, it's every 30 seconds. Fire is starting to double. Starts this big, it's this big, it's this big, it's this big, right? Gets way out of control in quite a hurry. You guys saw it at school. Remember we did those pods where we flashed them over? We lit the fire in the one pod, right? The sprinkler put it out. Then we lit the other pod and we lit the first pod and it went crazy, right? And then the fire department put it out and then the sprinkler put out the second one. That's because the fires are doubling in size so fast. That happened in less than 3 minutes. That's unbelievable. When you're looking at extinguishers, they're really easy to use. So there's an acronym that we use called PASS, P-A-S-S. It's pull the pin, right? This pin goes through here, so I squeeze this and nothing will happen. When I pull the pin and I squeeze it, you're gonna get the agent to come out, right? That's what we want. So it's pull the pin, aim the nozzle, squeeze the handle, and sweep at the base of the fire. That's what we wanna do. So it's called the PASS acronym. One of the key things though is you need to understand what type of extinguisher to use, right? Because if I use water in a grease fire, what's gonna happen, do you know?
It's gonna explode.
It's gonna get bigger, right? Because water can't put out a flammable liquid. It doesn't work like that, right? There's too much heat and not enough cooling agent in order to make that happen. Where what's inside of here, so this is called an ABC extinguisher. So it puts out A type fires, B fires, C fires, right? There's 5 classes of fire, A, B, C, D, and K, right? A is your normal paper, B is your flammable liquids like gases and oils, C is your energized equipment, right? If you had a motor that's still plugged in with power, right? That's an energized type of equipment, so that's a C fire. D is metal, like magnesium or any of the easium metals. And K stands for kitchen fires. So anything that has a deep fat fryer, right? Not necessarily in your house, but like a restaurant, right? They're doing deep fat, they're dropping fries like it's going out of style. So any of those types of extinguishers would work on a K. But you have to know A, B, C. If I use this on a K fire, will it work?
No.
No. It may darken it down momentarily, but it's definitely not going to put it out. Understanding here, this is called monoammonium phosphate that's inside of here. It smothers the fire. It takes the oxygen away, right? Remember the fire tetrahedron, right? You gotta have, what's the tetrahedron, do you know? So you have to have oxygen, you have to have fuel, you have to have heat, and you have to have some sort of chemical chain reaction to make that happen, right? So here, with an ABC, it breaks that chemical chain reaction. It smothers the fire and takes the oxygen away. You take any one of those 4 components out of it, fire goes out. Automatically, fire goes out. Anytime any of that's included back in though, fire starts back up, right? So if we only take the oxygen away and that fire is just sitting there, basically it's not cooled at all, right? It can reignite. If it gets enough air again, it can reignite. So when we're using extinguishers, and let's say we've put this bag out we never turn our back and always back up, right? Because the minute I turn my back, all of a sudden that fire goes woof, and it's going all over again. So we never turn our back to fire when we use the extinguisher. The one thing that we'll show you outside when you use them is you're outside and there's nothing confining, there's not four walls, so the powder kind of dissipates really quickly. Inside your house, inside your kitchen, you use this extinguisher, it's gonna get very cloudy in a hurry, right? The smoke's gonna start to bank back down, the agent inside there is gonna get all over the place. It puts the fire out exactly what it's supposed to do, but the chemical that's in here, it's an irritant, right? It's gonna make you cough, it's gonna make you wheeze a little bit, probably make your eyes hurt a little bit, but once you clear yourself of the environment, you're gonna be fine. All right, so that's the big thing that we don't see out here. Steven, you ready? Light it up. So we're gonna do one at a time. I'll go up with you. Lieutenant Williams has brought out a water can extinguisher, right? Remember, this is an ABC extinguisher. This is also an ABC extinguisher, but it has two different agents in it, right? We talked about monoammonium phosphate. This is literally just water. That's it. So you have to pay attention. Like I said, you have to pick the right extinguisher to the right fuel, right? I don't want to take this thing on a grease fire. It's not going to work. I don't have enough cooling power to make it work. What we're going to do is we'll use it to show you how it doesn't work, right? That way you can go, oh, that's not great at all. So why don't we all go outside? We'll use this one. Imagine this is inside your house, right? And you've decided, I want to take the cup of water or take the pan to the sink, right? And now I add water. Doesn't do any good, right? It actually is going to spread the fire versus put the fire out. So even though this, it darkens it down. But again, put this in your kitchen, right? We're using out here in a barrel. Put this in your kitchen on your stovetop, and you take a pitcher of water and pour it on there, or you make that pan to the sink and you turn the faucet on, it's gonna go everywhere. Trust me, you will get burned, you will make it worse versus making it better, okay? So that's important to know. Yeah, this is a water extinguisher, but water is not gonna work on a grease fire. It just won't, okay? That is not the extinguisher of choice. The extinguisher of choice, though, would be an ABC, right? Even though it's going to make a mess, it's what you're going to have in your house. That's okay, because you're going to put the fire out. You ready to put the fire out? Okay, let's do it. All right, so remember the pass, right? Twist that. Give it a twist, 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 twist. No, don't pull. Twist it straight around. Keep going. Keep going. Twist it up. There you go. Let me have the pen. Pull the nozzle out. All right, we're going to aim.
Yay!
Back up. Back away.
Did it!
Now Steven's going to light that back up, and you're going to see the fuel's in the bottom, right? He's only hitting the vapor. That's it. And you're going to see how fast this reignites. He never touched the fuel, he just touched the vapor. Remember what I told you? This extinguisher didn't do any cooling, right? It just took the oxygen away from the chemical chain reaction. Okay. Ready? Okay, so you got the extinguisher. Hold the pin. Okay. We're gonna pull the nozzle out. Yep.
Smells like a Sharpie at first.
Get up out.
Then it starts raining.
Squeeze the handle.
Yay!
Okay, Steven's gonna light it back up. Good job. Okay, ready? We got light. Hold the pin, right? Pin, pull the knob, pull the nozzle out of the holder.
Mm.
Hey. Hold the pin. Mr. Schroeder, do you want to do it?
I'm good.
Mr. Kohler, do you want to do it? Okay. All right, let's go back in the barn. So what did we learn?
Oh, it's to twist the thing to break the head.
That's right. That's right. So what you got that everybody else didn't get is it's not so easy sometimes, or the more you just spin it and twist it, that thing will pop off. It's made to break at like 5 pounds of pressure. That's what it's made for. What else did you learn? On a grease fire, right? On a grease fire. We don't want to use water. Could I use water though if it was a waste paper basket that just had papers burning? Right? There's no flammable liquid there. It's just normal wood and paper and that type of thing, right? What else did you learn? Do I turn my back? No. What do? Right? Nice and slow. We back up. That's what we have to do. What else?
The pass method.
Pass, right? Right? Pull, aim, squeeze, sweep. That is, you can teach the rest of the entire public the exact same message. That's what we do. What I taught you guys is what we do with fire prevention and teach industry, teach the public, teach the kids, right? That's how we teach it because it's a really easy acronym to remember, right? That's what you want because people panic. When there's a fire, people lose their mind. I don't know why, but people just, they lose their all sense of anything they had and they panic. So if you can make it as easy for them to remember, pass, yeah, I can do that. Point, aim, pull, sweep, sweep, and let her rip, right? That type of thing. That's what we want. Do we need to dial 911?
First.
First, right? First and foremost. Somebody, if it's not you dialing 911, which it may or may not be, right? If you're with somebody and you're noticing the fire and you're like, yeah, I'm going to fight fire, have them, hey, dial 911. Okay. If you're by yourself, you need to dial 911 first. For sure. I would start moving toward the exit as I'm dialing 911. Once 911 gets all the information they want, boom, I hang up, grab the extinguisher, then I can go back. It not only makes me so I understand where the exit is, right? So if I need to get out and say, I got to the fire now and it's 4 times as big as it was, I'm like, oh, I'm not doing that. At least now I know how to get right back out, right? Always, always, 911.
Question for you guys, how long does it take for the fire to get 4 times as big as it was before you come home? 30 seconds.
1 minute.
1 minute. Logan.
Right there.
Right?
Do you use your phone for a calculator?
So what did we talk about before though? Remember I said it takes the fire department at least 3 minutes to get here and to get on trucks. They haven't even gotten to you yet, right? If you live at the lake, which this fire department covers down by the lake, it takes 7 minutes to get to the lake from here on a good day, 7 minutes. So now we're at 10 minutes. That's before it's just about as I'm arriving. That's 10 minutes from the time you call. So think about the size of that fire in 10 minutes, right? If it's doubling every 30 seconds.
Logan, if every 30 seconds, 10 minutes, how big is the fire?
Oh, I can't put me on the spot like that.
Big. Right? Big.
40 times as big.
2 to the 10th is 1,000, you got 2 to the 10th times 2 to the 10th, 2 to the 20.
That's right.
A million times.
Yeah.
Right? Big. So,
The whole house, if
Hard
you
to
don't
control.
get back to the fire, the whole house could be involved.
that's right. That is a very real reality that we deal with fires at the lake. Is because by the time we get there, there's 2 or 3 rooms involved. And by that time, we're gonna do all we can, but a lot of the damage is already done before we got there. Just based on time, pure time alone, and how it gets bigger, yes.
If there's a fire and you're on a lake house, should you go in the water or should you go in the lawn?
No, you should go to your meeting spot,
Yeah.
wherever that is, right? Because as I show up as the fire department, one of the things I'm going to ask, either who's ever standing out front, whether it's an adult or it's one of you guys, is everybody out? That's the first thing I'm gonna ask you, because if everybody's not out, I definitely wanna know, where are they? How many are they? Who are they? Right? We've had times before where they said, my baby's inside, my baby's inside. Well, her baby's the dog. Literally, right? So you kinda gotta almost play the clue game a little bit, because for some people without kids, their animals are their children, right? So I need to know, is that a dog, or are we actually talking about a person type of thing? So there's a lot of dialogue that happens in about 30 seconds worth of talking to somebody of who, where, why, and how many, right? And I need to know those things like now. Remember, fire's still burning, fire's still burning. It doesn't care that you want to stop and chit chat. It's still getting bigger, right?
Doubling every 30 seconds.
Every 30 seconds, right? This, to this, to this. Before you know it, it doesn't take long, but it's out of control, right?
Never get to scream at you.
Any other questions? Yes.
So if let's say if a grease fire like got out of control and started like burning like multiple rooms, and since like the fire hydrants are like water, what would that do? Like, is there a special like hoses they have that have that stuff?
So when you go inside, right, when we switch here, probably about 5 minutes or so, they're gonna talk to you about how we hook up the hydrants, what type of hoses we use, how we get water out of fire trucks, right? Because not every fire truck has a pump on it, right? And why we take certain equipment first versus taking other equipment. It's very strategic why we do certain things the way we do them. Down by the lake, there's fire hydrants, but we have portions of our fire district that have no hydrants, 0. So we then have to have what's called tanker shuttles, and we put out what's called a drop tank, where they actually dump water into this 2,000 gallon thing that looks like a square on the road type of thing. It's like a tank, right? So there's different methods we can use depending on what situations that we're coming to. Mr. Kohler asked how many hours of training, first thing. Just let me know if there is. All right. He'd asked how many hours of training. Well, think about all the stuff we've talked about in the past 15 minutes. Most of it was just on extinguishers. Now we've gotten to a discussion about fires and where they are and how they are. All of this comes into training. We have to train on this stuff constantly because we might not have another fire for a month. Hopefully we don't ever have a fire again, right? The best fire we go to is the one that we never go to. We want to practice fire prevention so we don't go to fires. But we have to practice going like we would go to fires so when there is a fire, we know what to do. We went to a fire yesterday, and we went to a fire the day before. So I mean, we've had 2 fires in 3 days now. That's quite a bit for us. We average 1 structure fire a month. That's about what we get in 1 month. There's times that we go a couple months maybe without a fire. But here, in this department, we do about 330 calls a year. So that's just about 1 a day. We had 2 calls today already. The day's not over. So some departments are busier than others. Oneida does 2,000 calls a year versus 350. Just again, based on population, based on location. There's all different factors. tanker. So we talked about fires where there's no where there's no fire hydrants. This piece of equipment would actually go and dump water. How many gallons are 2,000 gallons of water out here. 2,000 gallons of water can put out quite a bit of fire. Right? Quite a bit of fire. Yes.
Even if it's a grease or oil fire, you still got the fire hydrant. You'll still use water to put that out, because when you use a super lot of water, I assume things change.
Yes. So the hose lines that we use average anywhere from 160 to 180 gallons a minute. A minute. That water right there, that fire extinguisher, there's 2.5 gallons of water. That's it. Versus 180 gallons a minute coming out. So in that case, with 180 gallons a minute, I'm overcompensating cooling the fire. That's why it goes out. Yeah. We're talking about we're on the fires now where we're out of world. Dropping water. Okay. Yeah, dropping water. Bring your own. Right. So Lieutenant Williams, he drives this vehicle. Oh, I'm sorry.
How much water is in the tank?
In that tanker,
Yeah.
2,000 gallons.
Is it full?
It's full all the time. So right now there's 2,000 gallons of water sitting there. And there's a pump sitting in that compartment.
Drink the water?
Go. I would not drink the water. It is not potable water. I can tell you that. Lieutenant Williams, he is one of the drivers for this vehicle. So in a volunteer department, not everybody drives all the apparatus. You have to go through lots of training, lots of coursework in order to get what we call checked out in the vehicle. So you're able to drive it, you know how to operate it, you can work it proficiently. Because again, when we're showing up to fires, this isn't the time to learn how to do something. It's the time to be very proficient and very, very efficient at what we're doing. That equals, remember, quick. We want to put fires out quickly, right? Train, right? Easy. So we want, the faster we can put the fire out, the better, right? So this isn't the time to learn when we get there. That's why we do all the practice once a week and then continual hours all the time. How many hours of training do we have last year?
Last year we had 256 hours. We run an average of 1 call a day. So we run 330 calls a year. So you figure we don't always get a call every day. Someday we might get 5 calls. Someday we might get 1 call. But we figure on 1 call every day. So you got to really train.
256 hours a year, that's a lot. That's a lot of hours. That's a lot of time spent here. It doesn't seem like a lot, but how many hours a year do you guys do Boy Scouts? Not 256 hours worth, right? And what you're doing a lot of hours. You know, we're meeting once a week, you're doing stuff on weekends, maybe you're doing something over here, something over there. It's probably still not 256 hours worth, right? So that's a lot of time, a lot of effort, especially when you've got kids at home. Don't forget, he's got a job to work Monday to Friday, you know, that type of thing. So he's here 2, 3, 4 nights a week doing stuff for 1 to 3 hours at a time. And, oh yeah, by the way, when there's a call, he's going at 80% of them. So he's going to well over 200 calls a year, which again, doesn't seem like a lot, but that's a ton of time that we're putting forward. That's just one person that's here. You know, that's not everybody that's here. So that's just one example. Yes. Do I have a second job?
Yeah.
I have like 4 jobs. Yeah. So I work as a fire marshal for the town here. I work as an instructor for Madison County as a fire instructor. I work as a code enforcement officer for the village of Madison. I work for a code enforcement officer for the village of Huntsville as well. So I have a whole bunch of different jobs. And I work part-time as a fireman for the DeWitt Fire District.
How many of them do you get paid?
All of them. All of them. Yes, absolutely. But everybody that's a member here has 1 or 2 jobs, if not more. You know, that's just the type of personality the membership is. You know, they're type A personalities, they're go-getters, they're busy. Don't forget though, they're also involved with the school sports program with their kids. You know, they're involved, some of them, with Boy Scouts like you guys and the local troops here. They're involved in the VFW, the American Legion. all of those community organizations, these guys belong to as well. Fire department is just one of the places they belong and give a lot of time to. So the Boy Scouts is the same way. You guys give back to the community, right? By stuff that you guys do. This is the same thing. Exact same thing. This is why a lot of Boy Scouts become firemen. It's a very close parallel for what you guys did. It's all community based, right? That's what it's about giving back to the community, giving back. And if you haven't figured it out yet, you'll understand as you get older what that really means, right? Because you'll reap some of those benefits that you're giving, right? Because you're a community member. That's what you want. Stephen, what I missed? Anything?
I just came in.
Stephen's one of the guys. His father's a fireman. Grandpa? No.
Oh, that's it.
So your dad's been in for how many years?
36.
36. Stephen's been in since he was able to 18. So how many? 5.5. So he's not that old. He's been coming around the fire station though. I've known him his whole life. Mr. Chandler's been a member for over 50 years. Over 50. So that's a long time, over 50 years, to be in one organization. So think about the number of training hours he's done, right? Thousands and thousands and thousands of hours. Millions, yes, he said millions. So we're kind of right now, we're in the midst of cleaning up from the fires we've had in the past couple days. All the hose has to get washed and put away, it has to get dried, all the equipment has to be gone through. So when we get called again, things are all set and ready to go. You know, we can't not put water in the truck. We can't not put hose on the truck. Sometimes it's at 2 in the morning when it's not usually nice outside that we're doing this, right? I think we're ready. All right, we're gonna go in, and I'm gonna have, yeah, I know water. About 30 minutes. So they're going to show you in here. I know you asked some questions out there about hoses and hydrants and what happens when we don't have hydrants and how many gallons per minute are put out by hand lines and things like that. So they're interested in that type of stuff. So Lieutenant Hatch, I'm sure, can start at least going over maybe the ladder truck.
Sure.
Right? Absolutely. He's ready for like 4 million questions from you guys.
Sure.
Again, he may ask you 4 million questions, but that's how you're going to learn is ask questions about the equipment, because we have all sorts of different equipment for potentially any case scenario, right? Because we never know whether it's going to be a fire, whether it's going to be a kid that got his arm caught in the playground, to a car accident, to a hazardous material scene, to a confined space, to a chimney fire. It could be, you name it. Who do people call when they don't know what to do? Call the fire department, right? We try to solve everybody's problem. That's what we do. They don't call the police department. They don't always call the ambulance. When people can't figure out what do we do, they dial 911 and say we need fire department. So we kind of have to be prepared for any type of situation. That's why we have all different types of equipment. All different, yes.
How often do you get non-fire related accidents?
What do you mean now? How often do we go to car accidents?
No, like non-fire, you know?
So we would consider anything non-fire, like an EMS call, a car accident is a non-fire, a hazardous material is a non-fire, confined space, right, a flooded basement, power lines down, right?
Cat and tree.
Yes, we don't go to those.
You've never seen a dead one in a tree,
Right.
have you?
Have you ever
They
seen,
all come down.
right, have you ever seen cat bones in a tree? Never, huh? Weird. Exactly. And I'll give you there's a couple of reasons why we don't do that. One, God forsake, we were trying to rescue a cat and we got hurt. That's really hard thing to do. And two, this ladder truck costs $976,000, almost $1 million, right? And if we broke it trying to get a cat that was going to come down out of the tree anyway, and we probably made it worse, that's hard to justify. And so,
Group is outside.
yes, these are yours. We're going back out now. Okay, have fun, guys. Ask lots of questions.
Okay, start back out on the rescue. Yeah,
Go ahead, Sam.
your turn, Gene.
Go over the
I
rescue.
got cotton mouth. I talk too much.
That's why that looks like a prison.
Because somebody made it in that shape, Roland? You can figure that one out, right?
Alright guys, this is
Why do you do
our
things?
rescue. We take for our MBAs, car accidents, pretty much had all our tools on it that we use for front car open, getting the car, go through the doors, you guys want to the tools we use for. On this side. This is obviously the driver's seat. This is where you obviously drive it. You turn the lights on up there. Pull the siren on this side. All that good stuff. This is where the guys sit back here. Yeah, that's where we. Sometimes we go to mutual aid calls with this thing, so we just carry the guys to other calls. We use our air packs up there, obviously. Radios up there, lights, the guys use, spare mask up there, the guys use. But we mostly use this truck here for MVAs. So go up next door. Let's go right here. So we got oxygen tanks. This is an accountability board. This right here, if we go to a house fire, a mutual aid house fire or something like that, we put this in the front door. Everybody that goes inside tags us. So the chiefs know, whoever else is in charge of the scene can know who's inside the building. These are airbags. This is what we use to lift the car or anything. And the controls for it. Pretty simple. Put the bottle to this. We got lines right here. One's to lift the bag, one's to bring the air out of the bag. That's it.
Do you have those hydraulic like cloth bags to open like car doors?
Yep, those in the back. Pigtails, we call them pigtails, they're actually extension plugs. We like, for example, if you pull this out, this is how we do our scene lights. Pull them out, if something doesn't fit in here, we grab this out and we'll use cords. This door. So our exhaust fans, we're trying to vent our house out, fill the smoke, vent it out. Our extra air pack bottles. Our rescue jacks, this is how we use to stabilize our vehicles. So we see if cars roll over. We use those, pin them against the car so we can't tip over and fall on our guys. Generator, some tools. There's a pad right here. We use these for our airbags. So we put in half of them so they have a stable spot. This right here is our cascade system. This is what we use to fill our bottles. Tarps, rope, rescue. And then back here, this is what you're talking about. Draws the legs, cutters, or threads. This can be used to open the car doors, cut the roof off, all the good stuff. This thing's portable, so if we need to move it, well, when we can't pull it all out, we can still reach it for car, we can attach it, press, and over here, we're gonna have these. And then we can just go out, walk with it, move the car, wherever.
These are pretty long also. They can go pretty much well past the front of the truck.
We got pipe holes up here. Use those for like, we were at a house fire, overhauling part. Use those for that. Attic ladder.
When you get tight spots.
Yeah.
How do you like train or like teach people how to use that stuff? Like what do you use for example?
Like,
We get the village sometimes, like say they buy a brand new cop car because the old one broke down and doesn't run anymore. They'll let us cut it up.
sometimes we get people who donate cars to us also. And then they donate cars to us and use that to practice cutting cars up. So,
Sometimes we junkyards will let us come and do it.
that's really it. Yep. Yep. It's pretty simple. We have it set up where it starts real easily. All we have to do, literally all we have to do is pull it. All we have to do. You keep it that simple so where you're not wasting our time trying to. Put it this side. Multiples. Jacks, obviously those jacks are more table wise and they're on water for guys. Dehydrated. More tools. So instead of using that, you can use touch cards. They work great. This is our EMS department. We don't need to click EMS. This case is for the guys who are in the EMS department, so this is what they would use. More tools. Similar, but a lot more tools. Yeah. Chainsaws in the bottom. Cribbing, also more cribbing we use for stabilizing the car. More our MBA department, more rocking, help stabilize the vehicle more. Yep. Yeah. So this truck's driving in here. Got the truck running. He's waiting in here for guys to come on. He's off, not pouring this in. Key litter. We put it in our speed drag. We put it in the box because they come in bags. It's easy to store in the truck. These things. Blankets and stuff. Gas bills. Kind of contain a little area. And then you guys have the front already. More tools. Sit. If we want.
You can put back out. I'll run the truck. I'm already tired.
This right here is our main attack line, attack engine for fires. Usually goes first. The ladder truck. Those guys.
75 feet up.
Yep. So we go to the fire. First thing we're gonna do is we hit a hydrant. Hydrant bag's right here. So guys get off, grab this. And the back, there's 4-inch. 4-inch hose, just grab that, after the hydrant, tell the driver to go. The driver will go, and they'll start with the hydrant up. And then they'll say, hey, you ready for water? And they'll turn it on. And then everybody else just grab tools and start working. I mean, there are ladder belts. You think you're driving for these and find a ladder, so in case flip the ball that's catching them. Some more tools. We use these for, you know, tearing walls down. Clear bottles. Couplings and stuff for hoses. What we put here is what they would grab these lines here to go inside your 3/4 lines. This is what they would grab. You just from the other side, but they would grab it. That's when you go inside and start putting the fire in. Trans department. Keep tools inside here also. There's the driver's air pack, just in case it's really smoky out, they can put the pack on. More line. Sometimes we put a small little 10-footer hose here in case of, like, we get to a spot where the fire is really close, the hydrant's really close. We can just use that line instead of using the one in the back. So, or if it's not, you need more to do this. Pretty much same thing over there. That's where the guys sit. Radios, air packs are up there, more tools. Pretty much same thing over there.
What are those things like charging?
We got our flashlights right there. Laying above it are radios. Our rule is our guys, every single guy has to have a radio. So there's a radio for each guy in the truck. So the guy inside the building, in this case they get in trouble, they can push a button or call Mayday for help, whatever. We also have up here, if you go to a CO alarm or something. This is our gas meter. Each different types of gases. So if we go inside to like a furnace leaking or something, turn this on, help detect it, call National Grid. Help. Well. This is our tick.
Force is on water right now.
Yeah. Thermal imaging camera. Turn it on for you. So say we're going, we pretty much got the fire out, or we're looking for hot spots. Pretty much you can use this. You can check it out if you guys want. Thermal camera, you can see where the hot spots are. See it? Yeah, so we use that to go for like house fires, fire from the south, but we're trying to find hot spots overhauling.
So white is the water.
Yeah. So come in the back. So if, like I said, one guy was off the truck, I grabbed the hydrant bag, and he would grab this. He would wrap this around the hydrant, that's how the driver would go. And the driver would go, one start, grab the end of it, and hook it to the side of his truck. The hydrant guy would start hooking up to the hydrant and getting it out ready to turn on. And would send water to the truck. These guys have water for. They're saws. These are K12. These are vent saws. So you go to the roof. You cut a hole in the roof. This one.
Yeah.
Whatever it's two, but I mean this one. Pretty simple. More change for them. The gas we use for them. So this line here is 2.5. It's a little bigger than the extra corner on the side. This is for more like bigger fire. Bigger fire, not bigger hose. The more water, the better. This is a blitz fire. So it's kind of this thing is like a big fire. You're gonna be there for a while. Take this, kind of pop in the front yard, and just let that fire out that way.
How much does the hose weigh?
I honestly don't know. I mean, it's kind of making me wet. Pretty heavy.
4 inch, really heavy.
Yeah.
Some departments around 5 inch, and that's even heavier.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know how heavy it is. I guess especially if you're working for a while and you're carrying it, it's more heavier.
4 million questions that you didn't know that one?
Yeah, I guess. More pipefuls we use. So you guys seen us outside already, the water can, right? I use this for police fires, right? ABC one, water can. This is our chimney kit. So the chimney kit is like in a chimney fire. We have this for tarp. We lay it down inside next to the tarp opening the chimney. So trying to store too much stuff inside the house. We have these little bags right here. This bag, we can drop the bag inside of it to help the fire out. There's also a chain in here. We drop the train down, chain, and it kind of scrapes the crap off the head of the chimney, so it all falls down, scoop it out. Kind of goes down. Show you that powder stuff. We have also a mirror, which we use for instead of sticking our own head up inside the chimney, see what's burning, we just kind of use this to let we're not burning yourself. That's the bags we use to drop down the chimney. Kind of melt it, explodes it, push it out, and it goes down.
This one's in there also, in that same compartment. It's a piercing nozzle for, we use it mostly up in the industrial parks. We get calls up there. There's a lot of times, like they'll shoot sparks up and hit the ceiling, and the ceiling will catch fire and you can't really get it from the ground. So we'll get up on the roof, put this down on the metal, take a sledgehammer, we'll go through, put water on it.
Works really good.
Yes. Saves a lot of cutting.
This is us, another EMS one department. So we have like EMS guys. We don't do too much EMS, but we have guys who do. So I mean, we have tarp in this one. So usually after a fire, we kind of board stuff up afterwards, close it up. We'll put tarp and stuff over it. The holes we cut. Water for our guys. This is the high-rise pack. So if we go to a fire where
now we're pulling.
we pull this line off, and it's not far enough.
Nope.
We take this
From the tank, now I can
and
charge.
we send it, add it to it, so we can go further.
It's a two-step process.
Or we go to a tall building.
Yeah, you gotta get, like I said, you gotta get water in, you gotta get water out. So right now, I'm getting water in.
Just more tools here,
I wanna charge this line. Pull that.
rope, extension
I
cord,
got water
lights.
coming out this line. And that
Nice little
box is
small 25-footer to your plants.
It's just, it's labeled number
Oh,
one.
right here.
Number one speed lane. This is number one speed lane. If you want to do number two speed lane, two speed lane. Turn that, pull that lever. So right now we got water coming
This,
out of this.
We have in this truck foam already, in the truck already.
So,
You just gotta push a button, foam's on.
once
We run
like
out,
I said, we get a water
we have
supply
this.
established.
We have jugs here,
We're hitting a hydrant.
just in case we don't have time to fill back the truck up. We
Drafting.
literally hook stuff to the
So
truck,
that's what we're doing.
touch it on the other side,
Water supply gets
touch right here,
established. We open
hook it up,
our tank.
hook the little barrel, you suck it right up, you have more foam.
And we're shutting tank to pump. Because now we're getting water into us. And now we're gonna fill our water tank back up.
More line, because this is the line, it pulls on this side easily. We pull up, this might be facing the house.
Our water supply messes up.
Most of the time.
You can easily.
Generator,
You're partway through it.
step to the ladder, you use it here.
Yep.
Got more ladders
All
up
of a
here.
sudden, we're doing drop tank operations.
Extend the ladders,
And
roof ladder on top.
one of our tankers takes it down.
The difference between the main difference between a roof ladder and the extended ladder is they got these hooks on them. They'll solve that problem.
And now I still have my.
So if we gotta get up on your roof, we can put this on the peak. Now the ladder is secured to your roof, so it doesn't slide down.
No, these lines. This nozzle is stuck in the truck. This will call dirty spark.
Same thing over here.
This nozzle
You guys seen the thing
to
here?
operate properly.
More
To achieve
small line
that,
case.
I think it's supposed to be an
Same thing
80.
up in here. You guys sit there. You guys sit.
Somewhere in there, this
Air
nozzle
pack,
never achieved
radios.
350.
All the
It'll
good
never
stuff.
achieve 350 because you're only pushing through
Not
inch
any
and
questions
3/4
so
line
far?
through an inch and a half fitting. How is it physically big enough to push through that much water? So this nozzle is
Do the
really
opposite. The
designed
guy who's usually running the
deliver
scene somewhat.
roughly 150 gallons a
Sits.
minute. At
He's the one talking on the radio, calling the truck out of service.
150
Trying to give him the orders a little bit.
Siren.
Siren. Play with the horn.
Operate
That's where he sits. He's the guy who's in charge. He sits up
all
here.
that bullshit.
Yeah, it's not
So
just
if you got,
quality.
you got.
Isn't there other types
150
of
going
trucks
that
where it's
way,
like
you got 150
twice as
going
long
this
and you
way.
need like two people to
So your
drive it?
guys at the end of the line,
You see those in
Those-
like bigger cities,
Yeah.
just get
like New
on
York
the
City,
That's fine.
Tillers? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. We don't.
where you, the driver in the rear has
This
to
one
drive
here,
the rear
you can
wheels
see,
Yeah.
we
to get them into the tight
175
corners
gallons a
and
minute.
stuff like that.
We're not that big around here for that. So.
We don't have the need for
Yeah, we
that.
don't.
Yep.
If they had a shorter ladder like this, they probably could still make those turns, but they need like 150 to 200 foot ladders to get to those tall
Right around
buildings.
Yeah.
180, 185 gallons a minute.
I like it pretty much be everything around here. So
Right.
The
that's why ours
BTU,
is 75
that
foot.
burning, really.
So that's not just evaporating the.
Yeah.
What's the tallest building in Canastota?
Greystone Castle.
I was probably see that Graceful Castle. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and this can reach it. So. Yeah.
yeah, so we have to overcome that heat from the BTU.
Up front is another hose line.
So normally, just for simple math,
Little
normally
small line.
It's the gas. It should be.
we're gonna say our 150 gallons. We do 150 gallons per minute to get to a hour. So it's like,
So this is our engine over here.
that's a continuous flow rate.
This one here is another truck that pretty much goes to MVA. So these two right here are main ones for MVA.
Until they get to the fire or
This one you do it first because this is not so long.
gallons can last quite a bit.
This case.
If you're only going in there, yeah, if you're going in there just spraying
Same thing.
everything,
It's got a little
you're done in 5
in front
minutes.
of it.
If you're smart with your water, you're
Driver
going in
sits
there.
there. Radio lights.
okay, and I'm trying to figure out where the fire is, cause it's pitch black, I can't see anything.
Huh?
All of a sudden you find it,
Yeah.
you hit it, there it is, and
Yeah,
then you
that's
start.
that.
Start spraying
here,
there,
air
that's when you
packs,
start
radios,
using it.
lights,
But we also use
that gas
foam on
meter.
our trucks.
Go to a close up
Inject
of
foam
what we got here.
directly into our water, so our water consumption is lower.
This one has more tools than
You do
just
it on 50/50 or something with it or whatever.
cutters on this one also.
What the foam does,
Now, is the foam kind of like the same thing with the fire extinguisher? So I don't want direct water. Yeah, that's the whole house thing is covered in grease.
yeah,
But
yeah, it's the same concept. What the foam does is it makes the water,
This one,
the foam is able to,
okay.
it says,
kind of sort of, not really, it makes the water more, so it kind of easels into the wood better.
So why don't you narrate while you're walking around here, Ken?
What's that?
Narrate what you're seeing so people can,
Okay.
because I don't know what to drive that.
Yeah, I think this is probably Jaws of Life here.
Yeah? And maybe a generator?
And
It says Jaws of Life.
And a generator to keep the jaws going. They said this truck goes to motor vehicle accidents.
Well, this would be a good choice
This
for
would
a
be a
Jaws
good
of
choice.
Life.
And the ladder truck goes to the fires. I want to swing around and get equipment here. Everybody's got a locker, it looks like.
What?
Everybody's got a locker.
Yeah? You don't want to use the knob to turn too much. You want to swing where you can,
Yeah.
otherwise you get stuck.
Okay.
You're kind of on.
Think I'm stuck?
You see your... Yeah, come on. You'll be fine. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. This truck is motor vehicle accidents?
Yep.
They both are? First and the third here. First and the fourth.
What's that?
The one on the other end is also motor vehicle accidents?
Yes, that's always first through motor vehicle accidents. This is second.
Okay.
This is more of a heavier truck. So if we just gotta pop a door,
Right.
it's just that truck.
Gotcha.
We don't have to bring another
Gotcha.
500,000 truck out.
That's not the emergency, you gotta go.
No. No.
Get back around who was saying.
See what he's saying? So all of Canastota's trucks are 1-2. Canastota's number is 1-2. And then this is ladder 7. That doesn't make sense. Should be 127.
Primary line
here,
to a hydrant.
up there,
So maybe Oneida is L1
so here,
and Hamilton is L2.
For their ladders.
or back
Maybe,
out
yeah.
for the fire. See this thing right here? The knob right here. They would pull that knob down once to get the pumping gauge, and pull it down again to get it ready. And then they would put it in drive, and this is where they'll do the whole pumping in here. Each lever up there is for a different hose, so that's why it's very important to know which goes to which. Water goes in here, comes out in these. So it's good to know which each lever is for each different.
Right.
Yeah.
Different thicknesses.
Yeah, the bigger ones, obviously, since we're supply to us, smaller ones are usually for.
Oh, I see, the purple is for the supply line.
This is for 2.5. We use this for bigger fires. This one we use for.
I really do.
Bigger fire, bigger hose.
And this has a tank on it also?
Yep, this is 1,000.
1,000-gallon tank.
Yep.
This is an all-purpose, this always goes out first for most
For the most
everything?
part, yep. Right now it does pretty much. For MVAs, outdoor fires,
Uh-huh.
pretty much whatever. Yep. Usually for our house fires, it's supposed to go first, but it depends if we get a driver or not.
Right.
So right now this one does, yeah.
Nice. Got all your questions answered, guys?
Yep. What time is it?
About 10 after 8, quarter after 8. Got someplace to be?
No, now I just got all the questions.
All right.
Yep. I think they're pretty cool. Big. Not too bad.
How fast can they get?
This one actually don't go that fast now.
Carrying 1,000 gallons of water.
Yeah.
That may govern.
Yeah. This one, I think this one goes about max 65. I think that one's kind of the same thing. That one is, I think 65 is not even the most. Doesn't go that fast.
Go fast and take the governor off, but they keep on it.
Yeah.
Logan, how much is 1,000 gallons of water?
At least 2 pounds.
There you go. Good. Yes, yes, that is true.
Good job, Logan.
1,000
Get
pounds.
closer.
Yeah, 'cause a gallon is a pound. A gallon of water is a pound.
You ever hear the phrase, a pint's a pound, the world around?
So close.
You
2
were
tons.
you were not,
Pints of
Roland. You were
water.
not close.
Half a quart is a pound. So,
8 pounds again?
8 pounds. There you go.
8,000.
you know, Logan, you're looking like the math genius in this group.
Yeah, well,
Maybe
he's
even in Boy Scouts.
the tallest guy on a
I'm
short
not very
basketball
cool
team
with-
is still short.
Well, can
Yeah.
in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king.
That's a better way, yeah.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, it'll be better if you back up, Ken. They'll be able to see it.
Here's our cutters.
You'll be able to, if you tilt that back, you know.
Here we go.
What's the
Do your job.
covering?
That's 4 inch.
Treat people right.
Oh.
Yep.
All in attitude. All out
Try
effort.
to keep it a little decent. So this department,
OSHA, April
Hard
24th.
this right here is we use for like we go to a place where it has no hydrants. We have to suck water from a pond or something. This is where we use these. These will have
I think you just broke something.
we pull to a spot, pond or something. We're gonna use drop tanks. And just throw this in here. Stack one of these with this. Throw it in the drop tank. And then you suck the water from the drop tank into the truck. And we'll have multiple tankers come by, drop water into the tank for us. We have a big thing out back, a big truck, tanker. Use those, keep a bunch of those, keep dropping water until I show you what a drop tank is.
The air one yesterday. Thanks, Jack. You're all right.
Get this set up, and we can truck right next to this, suck the water from this into the truck, not the hydrant. And then we'll have multiple tankers come by and just keep dumping water into these. That's what we do with the airlines.
Someone with a ladder, do you have one of those like really big bicycle pads?
We do not, no. No, that's why it's more important for us guys to try to lighter boats. Well, so we get, so we really need to know.
You guys know where to go in? Back. Oh, no, look. Oh, yeah. No, it's on Jack. Hey, guys, let's go.
What a nuisance, am I right?
Yeah. Any questions, guys? This truck right here pretty much is for is our oldest truck right now. 79, I think it is.
I was gonna say,
79, I think it is. For now, we use this truck mostly for outdoor fires, or we take it out for like power lines now. Take this truck out. Something that's not too serious, where we're not wasting that truck time over there. It's trying to get better because we lose experience. I'm not many guys in trucks. I can't. Yeah. I think we're pretty good staying set up though. Actually out there. This was different than most last time I looked up.
how many miles is
Let's see,
What year did you say it was?
I think it's 79, I think.
That's Ford Club.
Yeah, it's done the F-150s and F-800.
no, the present number is more problem.
I had to find the guy who drives full time. He's like the expert designer.
All right.
Everything though, we got hose in the back. Supply line. More questions, guys?
Good question.
Yeah. We're keeping our spare hose. Change that hose. Sometimes it's one here, sometimes it's worse. You get one spray hose, and then it starts bleeding.
You guys have competitions who can show faster?
Sometimes.
What?
Sometimes. I think I'm the fastest. Probably not. Yeah, It's good to get your year on real quick, so that's why we kind of do it. Okay, next page, perfect, right? Yeah.
What's this thing for?
So instead of using the one I showed you that red one out there, this is the barrel one. Pretty much, if you look in the store, because with that red one out there, you can use that one for multiple things. You can push water from one thing to another. This one is just like a barrel straight. You can destroy the end. So this comes out.
All right. Good.
Yeah, you gotta go backwards. You gotta walk backwards if you go on. Backwards.
This way, gentlemen.
Oh man, this would be a great shot. I wasn't ruining it.
It's okay. Is Mr. Cowan around here or no?
Yeah, I think he's in here.
All right, we gotta thank him. You oughta.
Yeah.
Think he's in here?
Yes, I did.
All right. I'm not going in there. You can. In there? In here?
In here.
Okay. Yeah, there he is. All right.
Keep moving.
Isn't that a TV show, Homegirl?
I don't think so.
Okay, like you guys do? Yeah, lot of questions?
Timmy,
Yes,
so how heavy is the hose?
heavy.
Yeah, the only question.
That's the one question
Yeah.
that they didn't know? What hole, 4-inch?
I need
4 inch is like 100 pounds per 100 foot. How many?
So how many pounds per foot?
There you go. That's with water, like with water in it. So it's heavy. It's very heavy. It's very strenuous activity, right? There's a lot of pulling of hose, there's a lot of stretching, there's a lot of different things. We just scratched the surface, right, of what we do here. Now, fire departments are generally the same, right? They go to fires, they put fires out, that's what we do. But every department's got a little bit of something that it kind of specializes in, whether it's different equipment, whether it's different things that they do. They're all the same, but we're all a little bit different, right? Just like us, we're all the same. We're all Boy Scouts, but we all have a little bit different type of thing that we do maybe better than somebody else. But when you put us all together, think about how strong we are, right? We're really strong together. Individually, we have some strengths, but we also have some weaknesses. Fire department's the same way. Collectively, as the fire department, there's nobody stronger. Individually, we all have our strengths and weaknesses, but when we put them all together, we're just unstoppable, right? Just like you guys. Put all the Boy Scouts together, we can do anything, right? But I guarantee there's something you do better than I do. But together, we put that all in, we're great, I guarantee you. So, I wanted to thank you guys. I know we're in a little bit different place, right? I wanted to kind of get you guys to a different place so you would see a little bit something different than just going to an IDA every year. So these guys here are definitely all in to you guys. That when I mentioned Boy Scouts, they were head over heels. Yep, whatever, what can we do, what can we do, what can we do? Because they want to help you guys succeed. That's what they want. They want to have you guys take a really great experience when you come here. They want you guys to maybe get a little bit of the bug and say, maybe I want to be a fireman, right? Maybe I want to learn a little bit more, and maybe this really interests me. Whether you do it for a living as a career person or you volunteer, it doesn't matter. We all do the same job, right? So maybe you guys got enough interest that in a few years when you're old enough, you can join. And trust me, we'll come back at a different time, there's no doubt about it. But we need to pay them a little bit of gratitude and a round of applause for them for taking you guys around. Right? volunteer. So they're doing, nobody's getting paid here, they're doing this for you guys. They are more than happy to do it, they just wanna make sure that you guys got a good experience. Did you like what you saw? Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty cool. Jeffrey, you like the chainsaw, right? Right? Absolutely. So, any questions?
Ralph.
Mr. Foreman, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Fuller, I have my back.
Mr. Cowan, if somebody was interested in a career in firefighting, what education and training would they pursue? Maybe not to be a volunteer fireman, but a full-time professional fireman.
Sure, so and I'm gonna, we'll back up just for a second. The best career firemen that I've seen were volunteers first and foremost. It gave them an advantage of what to expect, right? Because again, I've said before that whether you're volunteer or your career, we do the same job. We have a lot of the same equipment, right? We work together. Canastota goes to an item for what's called mutual aid, right? When they need help, they call here. When we need help, we call there. So we are doing the same job. Education-wise, I would always tell you, get as much education through formal schooling as you could. Meaning go to college, go to the military, go get education like that you're gonna need in the future. Especially if you're gonna be a career fireman, the way that you help promote yourself into officer positions like lieutenant and captain and assistant chief and chief is you need a formal education. That's just the way it is. Meaning you have to have a degree in order to do some of this stuff. But really good things like joining a local volunteer fire department while you're taking tests, because that's what it takes in New York State is you have to take what's called a civil service test in order to score well enough for the entry-level exam to become a fireman. So in order to do that, the more experience you can get beforehand, the better. And if you score really well, then you go through an interview process and hopefully they'll choose you as a candidate and you'll be hired on the job. I'm not gonna lie, it's very difficult in New York State to get hired as a fireman. It just is. There's not a ton of career fire departments in New York State, that's why. But joining the local volunteer fire department will help you get a leg up on the education you're going to need when you become a fireman. That would be the first step I would always tell somebody. Go join the fire department. And it's going to give you an idea if that's truly what you want to do. It's like on-the-job training without being on the job. You know what I'm saying? You're getting all that experience.
Where did you start?
I started right here. So when I was 8, my father was a 52-year volunteer. I was literally born and raised in this fire department. I've been coming here since I was yay high, and probably even smaller. And guys like TJ were here well before I was here. You can attest that I was that little kid that used to run around here and want to get on the fire trucks and go everywhere and get in the fire trucks. That's what I did. And then when I was 18, I worked for the military. I worked for Griffith Air Force Base as a fireman, and then went to the city of Oneida for the next 22 years. I still work as a career fireman for the DeWitt Fire District, and I've been there 15 years. I'm coming up on almost 30 years here as a volunteer fireman. So, born and raised here, this is just how it is, right? There's nothing better than belonging to a fire department with a great group of guys like you see over here, giving their time, giving things back to guys like you. That's what this is all about. That's why we do this. You know, so hopefully it might spark your interest. And if it does, please, anybody here is here to help you. I can guarantee you that.
2 more questions.
2.
One, so you said go to college. What should you major in college?
So, in college, if you're truly looking to become a fireman, they have programs called fire protection engineering. They have public administration. You can go into emergency management. But usually the basic associate's degree is going to be fire protection technology, is what they call it, which is a pretty much universal type of education that will get you, wait, don't move. That will get you some of the things you need. So Lieutenant Polisi right there is a college graduate of the Fire Protection Technology program from OCC. That is still going today. Please expound upon some of your experiences.
A lot of their classes are nationally certified, and all those instructors up there are started out pretty much how we started out. The one instructor that I loved was Captain Whitaker, and he used to be in Phoenix, Arizona, and he taught me a lot there. They also do a bunking program where a lot of your departments, like Liverpool, Onondaga Hill, East Syracuse, Moyers Corners, where you live at the fire station. Instead of living in a dorm room, you would live at the fire station. As soon as you got your level 1, you rode down their fire trucks for them. You manned their station.
Which is way cool.
Yes.
Way cool.
Yes. And the station I stayed in, the nights there wasn't any practice, the officers there were still working with us. Everyone surrounding that college and in that college was always working to train us to be our best.
Awesome. Second one. Two more.
Sorry. One, EMTs. So you got some EMTs here, right? And that requires a whole separate set of training. How many EMTs you got here?
Half a dozen EMTs,
Five or six, yeah.
And then,
something like that.
how much EMT-ness do they get?
Um,
Level 1, 2, 3?
Every fire department's a little different. A lot of fire departments will run with the ambulance. Not every fire department has an ambulance in it. As you see, this one does not. We have a local ambulance that we don't go with on every call that they go on, but when there's traumatic injuries, somebody's having a heart attack, they stop breathing, no heart activity, we go on calls like that. But then there's other fire departments that go on every EMS call that the ambulance goes on, like Casanova, Oneida.
Why is that?
It's just the way that their structure is built.
What's the value of having the fire department go to the heart attack?
So the value of the fire department going to the heart attack is because the majority of the calls that fire departments will go to are EMS. Approximately 75 to 85% are EMS calls. So what that means is when the ambulance is now taking the person from Canastota and is going to upstate, which is in Syracuse, they're not available to go on another call. The advantage to having the fire department go on EMS calls is the fire department's not going to upstate, the fire department's going back in service. So we're able to then in turn go on another EMS call. Even though we're not transporting, we can get there quicker and start to assess the patient instead of them having to wait for another ambulance to come from who knows where that might be 10, 15, 20 minutes away. When you're having a heart attack, 10, 15, 20 minutes means you're probably going to die. That's what that means. Versus the fire department at least showing up and being able to administer oxygen, start CPR, things like that, that will help save people. That's the huge advantage to the fire department going with EMS agencies.
Okay. Is there one civil service exam, or is there a whole bunch, like one for police and one for fire and one for clerks?
So there's a whole bunch, right? There is, just like Mr. Kohler said, clerks, police, fire, whatever. But if you're going to be a fireman, it's the same test no matter where in the state. So City of Syracuse gives the same test as the City of Rochester, as the City of Albany, as the DeWitt Fire District, as Fayetteville. It's all the same civil service test. So it's not like each place has its own different firefighter test. It's all administered by state civil service, so it's the same.
And so they have to take the people who score the highest, basically?
So they have, by civil service law and the rules, they have to take the top 3 scores. On average, you'll have 1% scoring 100. You'll have another 10% maybe scoring a 95, and probably another 10% scoring in the 90s. Then the rest of that percentage is scoring 85, 80, 70, 75. You have to at least score a 70 to pass, but I can tell you for sure, you're not gonna get hired unless you're scoring at least a 90. At least a 90. There's just so much competition It's not unlike, you know, it's not unlike the city of Syracuse, they'll have 300-400 people taking the civil service test for fire. And they might only have 20 spots. That's it. That's why it's extremely difficult to become a fireman in New York. Is it possible? Absolutely, it's possible. There's no doubt, I'm living proof of it. But it's just the competition is fierce, I can tell you that. Because it's a great job. And the police department's the same way. You know, they're scoring, you have to score in that top percentage in order to get hired. That's just the way it is. Yeah.
All right,
Questions?
let's thank Mr. Collins.
Okay. I appreciate, like I said, I know we ran a little late, we're 8:35. We ran a little late, but again, these guys get very excited when they see you guys come because they can tell you everything that you want to know. So, again, I appreciate it. We will continue working on the badge like a month from now, unfortunately. It's just, I'm still teaching in the county on Wednesday nights, so my next Wednesday night available is, I think it's the end of April, last Wednesday in April. I have all the paperwork you're gonna need for the badge. I'll hand it out that night, so you don't lose it in between now and then. It may require 2 nights, maybe, but at least 1 more night for sure.
All right.
Okay? Awesome. I appreciate it.
I can plant.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Are we good?